Today is Sunday, February the 16th. It's about 12:30, 65 degrees. We've had some 70-degree weather this past week. It's been actually gorgeous, very little wind. We had 1 week, the first week of February, where we had some wind and some cold, and then it warmed up and it's been nice ever since. I moved my plants that were inside, outside. These are all mostly pepper plants that I pulled out of the rocks, and some calibrachoa. And then this is some cuttings off of a plant I have in the master bedroom. This calibrachoa is even blooming. And then these small little plants back here are mustard spinach that need to go out in the garden. But I guess I'll just show what I've worked on. I'll show the trees too. I don't think anything was hurt by the weather that we had. We had some pretty substantial winds and some cold, because we actually got ice in some things that had standing water. And because we've had the sun though and not overcast days, it's bouncing back fairly quickly. So I have a little viola there. And I don't know what this is. It's got some pretty leaves on it. I trimmed back those petunias. Okay, the only thing I think I've done that's changed from the last video, mainly the work is inside. I have lots of little plants, seedlings and stuff, but I did go and trim back the mum that was in this pot, and I took it out of the pot, and the tree roots were growing up through the pot, so I repotted it basically. This plant here, there were a couple of agapanthus in there, so I took those out of there, so there's nothing in here now. But I got the pot ready to plant some other stuff. Oh, you can hear the bees. They love the rosemary. Anyway, I did those 2 pots. And let's see. Haven't moved. Like I say, we haven't worked outside a whole bunch because it wasn't, well, you can see the salvias getting bigger. But again, we haven't worked outside much because most of it's been working with seeds indoors. This has gotten a lot more color. And then I took the agapanthus. These 2 at the end were the ones that were in that pot. And I tried to pull the gladiolas out, but the bulbs are lost in that soil. So they will probably come up again this year, and I'm going to try to move them at that time. And then I trimmed back all the dead that was on these agapanthus and kind of cleaned them up a little bit. And I planted, I guess there were 3 agapanthus that I moved, and then there was one down here in this pot, in this area. This little guy, I think, was a dead one, and so I moved a live one into that. I don't think I explained what I was doing in the rocks here. And what I'm trying to do is build a pathway, and we're going to put stepping stones in here. So this was my first attempt to just see how much work it involved. So I think that's it. The agapanthus is my big story. I'll show. This thing is getting some green on it. I think it'll like the fact that it got cut back, maybe. Oh, I did trim back this pepper plant here, and I want to put a little bit of compost in here. And this is a salvia that's getting huge. There's a sprinkler up there going crazy. Anyway, I think that's about it. We have not done any kind of the structural stuff over here in the yard, but there's been a lot of planning going on. My head's just spinning on certain things. And one of the things we did, not necessarily that we got rid of, but our fountain, the parts that were left over from the fountain are now gone, so I'm not having to work around any of that. Oh, I did trim back, that's the thing I did. I trimmed back the salvia that are over here. So they're starting to just show their green, and I pulled some of the dead leaves out of the strawberries. And then, like I said, I want to rebuild this tower. I have probably 25 little strawberry plants growing now that were from seed. So they're teeny tiny. I'll show the trees. I don't think any of the trees were hurt by this cold snap. And then it looks like we're gonna enjoy this weather. The lows in the 40s, highs in the 70s for about a week or so. And then starting the 25th, it looks like it dips back down to like below 60, 59 degrees, something like that. So it's kind of iffy right now as far as what I do. We bought some cover material. I need to figure out what I'm going to try to bring outside. But hardening off is kind of a question. Like I said, I took those trays in the house. They were in the house, but this last week they've kind of lived outside except the bottom tray, and it just came out in the last day or so. And I will take it back in the house as soon as I finish this video, because I only leave it out here a couple of hours. So, like I say, I'm still trying to figure out how to keep everything alive. Don't want to get too anxious with spring. That's my garden diary.